going on, everybody? Gus here. So, you are watching me unbox the WK61, a high-performance mechanical keyboard from Womier, which, as far as my interactions with Womier went, it's touted and at least targeted at gamers. Now, in the interest of transparency, I have been actually using my main monitor plus my notebook and its own monitor right underneath. And due to, space restrictions, I haven't been using a mechanical keyboard at my desk. I have been using mechanical keyboards on my gaming setup, which I haven't actually shown you guys because it's not just ready yet. But that means my mechanical keyboards, at least in this studio, have become basically stuff to be in the background of shots so that, I have stuff to show. Now, this one, because of a couple of features and because of a couple of specifics that it has, is probably going to be featured, or at least is going to be a part of the rotation on said gaming setup. And we're going to discuss why. So let's go. It's a 60% board for one, which means it's not going to occupy that much space, and believe me, that's going to be paramount for what I'm trying to do. The materials they have chosen to go for here are actually really good, with this translucent / plastic polycarbonate shell, plus a white PCB to help spread lighting, and PBT translucent pudding keycaps. Yes, pudding keycap sets have become kind of, I'm not going to say like overhyped, but there's a bunch of people that really like them, and they are usually a little bit on the expensive side, and this keyboard comes with one. Actually, one and almost a half, because it also comes with a couple of extra keys that are a darker blue to make more of a contrast. Now, I am going to nitpick on one detail about that keycap set right out of the gate. I really wish it at least had everything that in this base keycap set is light blue, so that if I wanted to swap everything for darker blue, I already had the keycaps, but no, unfortunately, that's not the case. Still, it connects via USB Type-C right smack dab in the middle of the back of the keyboard, which I personally think is a nice touch, and it's a little bit recessed, so if you are using aftermarket cables, it's probably not going to be that much of a problem. What can pose a bit of a problem for certain people is the fact that this is the height it comes in, and it's the height you're going to get. At least it does come with a little rubber feet underneath, and it doesn't really slide around on your desk. But since it's not exactly a very hefty board, probably not going to also sit around immovable as if it was, Excalibur stuck in a rock. Switch choices are threefold as usual. Blue, which is the wrong one, brown, which is my favorite, and red, which is at least nice, and it's this one. Actually, I've kind of enjoyed using a red switch for a change on a higher mechanical keyboard like this one. Now, the lighting, as I mentioned, yes, one does exist. Yes, it's pretty colorful. No, it's not super strong, but since basically everything in this board is sort of translucent, it kind of compensates a bit. But because of the font of choice or how the keycaps are put together, this keyboard has a lot of failing points of lighting shining through all those pudding keycaps, at least upright, which, I wish wasn't there. It's not going to necessarily make your experience terrible, but it is something that you kind of can't not notice. Something else you can't also not notice is the fact that every single secondary function is not shine through, which, mixed signals here. You're making a keyboard that's all about that lighting, all about the shine through, all about being transparent, and you put stuff that's not, for example, the arrows here, these are painted in gray. They're not shine through. Why? Why did you do this? I actually know why, but we didn't get to that part of the video just yet. So for now, let's just leave it at the why did you do this sort of part, all right? Aside from that USB Type-C connection, there is no wireless or Bluetooth operation. It's just USB Type-C and that's it. It has Mac and Windows support, and just like everything else on this keyboard, you can control it through the onboard software with the function keys. Actually relatively simple, it doesn't do all that much. But to offset that, actually it doesn't offset that, it's just in addition to that, this keyboard has hot swap, which is a feature that I love very much, and I am actually impressed to see on this keyboard in particular. Now, together with those red linear switches, one would really appreciate a well-lubed keyboard. which is not the case with the WK61. The switches themselves are not lubed, but the stabilizers come pre-lubed from the factory, just not that very well pre-lubed. Take a listen. Right? Even with the lube, it doesn't sound that great. It's not too loud, but it's also not too quiet, and that has nothing to do with anything about the board. It's more with the switches themselves. Everything's kind of wobbly, and the lube applied to those stabilizers, when you look at it from above, it seems like it's there to show that it has lube, but that it hasn't been applied to the proper spaces underneath and within the stabilizer, structure, so that it would actually make a difference. But most of all, it sounds very hollow because there is just a bunch of empty space in the case, and you can't do much about that aside from modding. And when you get all of that and put into the context that the WK61 costs 44 and change, like $45, this is actually pretty inexpensive for everything that it throws at you. So you definitely could do worse. PBT, shine-through pudding, keycaps, good materials with this translucent polycarbonate case. Alright, it doesn't shine through all that much from underneath, but that means that all this area underneath that is currently hollow as all hell, you can put a bunch of insulation material inside. And then, taking advantage of the fact that this thing has hot swap, you can ignore soldering, take everything apart, and properly lube everything and put it back together. I have a feeling that at a starting price of $45 with this level of quality, it can sound actually quite amazing before you get to the price point of other stuff that's better than it as a base model that you would still need to change or mod in some way, shape, or form to get the same results anyway. So for all my gamer buddies out there that are looking for a 60% board that's well put together, either as a nice starting point to mod and do stuff and make it better, or as a plain Jane, not too expensive, good keyboard that also packs in a lot of features that are nice and a good light show, the WK61 definitely fits the part. I don't really understand where the high performance keyboard part comes into play, but as a mechanical keyboard on its own, I actually really like the WK61. Good job, Womier. And that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Gus, and I'll catch you guys later. I will slip the blade.